All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the finals of Speaker Idol 2018. My name is Denny Cherry from Denny Cherry & Associates Consulting, based out of Southern California. If you've never been there, remember the weather on like Wednesday? That's what it's like all the time. Now we're in Seattle, and it's clearly Seattle. Don't forget to turn off your cell phones. You're going to want to turn them off. This Kendra makes all sorts of noise. So, let's go over the rules and what we're going to do real fast here. Each presenter is going to get 5 minutes to talk. They're going to give whatever presentation they want. Some are going to have the same presentation they had earlier in the week. Some are going to have a new presentation for us. It doesn't matter which one of those they're going to do. It's all about what they're presenting, what they're doing on stage right now, as far as I know. Because what we want to see is what they're going to present and how they've improved over the previous rounds. The judges, once they're done with that 5 minutes, the judges will go ahead and give them feedback on what they've done during the presentation. The judges are then going to pick a winner for the entire week, and that winner will then get our grand prize. We don't care what's going to happen right now because we are aware, and the finals are right now. Quick image attribute, all my pictures are from Microsoft Office. I have no idea where they're actually from. Microsoft's lawyers are probably better than yours. Feel free to sue them. It'll be very entertaining for the rest of us. So our grand prize is going to be a session at the SQL Server 2019 Past Summit. You'll obviously get 12 months to worry about your presentation and 12 months of panic about your presentation and what you're going to present over the next 12 months. Of course, you also get bragging rights for beating down 11 of your closest friends. So our judges for this week are the same 4 wonderful folks we've had who have been very nice to give up their time and their sobriety for me for this week. That would be Mark Sims, Joey Diatoni, Kendra Little, and Alan Hurt. So our 5 speakers this time, so we do have 5 speakers. Normally we only have 4. Our judges made an executive decision. They want to see 2 of the runners up again. So our speakers this time around, in order, are going to be Heidi Hastings, Leslie Andrews, Rob Volk, Dennis Torres, and then Paresh, and I'm not going to try your last name, I'm sorry. I butchered it bad enough last time. Exactly like it's spelled, yeah, that's really not going to work. I can say whatever I want up here. I'm not a judge. So let's go ahead and start off with Heidi Hastings. So Heidi, come on up. So Heidi is a BI professional with over 7 years experience in Microsoft products. She's formerly a software developer, so we won't hold that against you. Sorry, it's okay. You are an ALM and DLM enthusiast, an Azure DevOps fan, co-founder and organizer of the Adelaide BI user group, and regular attendee at a whole slew of events, including SQL Saturdays and the Past Summit. And it's the 5th time speaking, or it was, now it's the 6th time speaking. So I copy and pasted from the earlier presentations because I'm efficient. So FYI, Heidi does work for the Australian government, so she's here representing herself and not them. And I have to actually poke the right button whilst, yeah, no, that's not likely.
Hi everyone, so welcome, thank you for coming. This is a level 100 session, no prerequisite learning required. So in general, presenters want to know what the audience thinks of their presentation. We want to know, did you like it, did you not like it? And what's the demographic of the audience? So we looked at things like feedback forms. These are complex, paper-based, they capture a lot of data, but they're always after the presentation and they're not always filled in. Or you've got something really simple like the happy or not buttons, which you see at your service station, your IKEA, or at the airport. It's really simple to fill in, but it's only one dimension of data. So that doesn't really help me as a presenter to know how I went. And if you haven't seen any of those before, hopefully you've seen this one, the session evals. It's application-based, which means, yes, attendees are more likely to fill it in. They'll do it in transit between sessions, captures a lot of data, but it's always after the session. So as a presenter, I might not get this feedback for a day, a week, or a month later. And as a data professional, I want all that data. I want to know what you guys think. I want to know how you felt about my presentation. Did you like it? Did you not like it? So I'd like to introduce you to cognitive services. Cognitive services is a series of machine learning algorithms that are hosted in Azure and made available through APIs. Those APIs help a computer understand the real world. So you can take something like a birthday card, take that image, upload it to cognitive services and get the handwriting translated into text. Or I can take speech and get the same thing, and then take it one step further and analyze the semantics behind that. But today I'm going to focus on computer vision. Computer vision lets me take an image and find out attributes about that image. So I could give it a landscape and find out, hey, there's a building, there's a car, there's a person with a dog. And in this case, I can give it faces, and it can tell me the demographics about that face. So I can see my gender and my age. And for those of you who know me well, know this is not my real age. So for those of you who want to be 21, cognitive services might help you there. It seems to reduce your age. And to top it off, we can also do emotions. So you can see here, it tells you the emotion, but it also gives you a confidence score against that emotion. So I can see that I was 0.6 fear. I myself would call that surprise, knowing my reactions, but it thinks I'm in fear. Don't trust that in a dangerous situation. But this is only one face, and there's more than one person in this room. So let's look at a group example. We can take a group of people in an image, and it can try and find every face in that image and then tell us the emotions and the demographics about that. So as a presenter, I can now see a lot of information about my audience that I never would have captured before. And I can start to analyze that and go, who's coming to my sessions? How are they feeling about my sessions? But this is good and bad, because as a presenter, I can suddenly see a bit more about what all you think. And if it's bad, I might start freaking out. If it's good, we'll just keep on going. But in that way, people might also worry about privacy, because it is a bit like Big Brother. This is an image of people I don't know from a bar of soap, and they might not want their image put through a computer system. And these sorts of computer systems can take a lot of imagery and process them a lot faster than a human can. So think about your CCTV footage, or your audience, your security monitoring cameras that you see in buildings. People not necessarily want that. So you have to be cognizant of the good and the bad of this technology. But there's other things we can use it for. As a presenter, I'm using it to help me. But think about all the other uses this can have. If you can analyze a crowd, you can tell the crowd demographics and start to target your marketing campaigns at them. Or you can look at who's coming in and out of your store. You can look at places with queues and start to understand if people are happy, not happy, and maybe put some security guards on if they're not happy. Or if they're happy, let the store staff run around and start meet and greet them. Or look at school students or fairs. There's a lot of opportunities here. But that's not the only thing we can do with this technology. We can use it to help us as presenters. I can have it look at me, have a webcam on my presentation, and see how I'm acting and make sure that I'm calm, cool, and collected. But let's see what the judges think. Wait, wrong set of judges, my bad, wrong set of judges. But these ones are quite happy, so hopefully you guys are the same. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I was so nervous.
Judges.
And this is the only part you look nervous for. Great job really tightening up the narrative. You finished just about exactly on time, and there was a very smooth flow to the story the whole way through. Nothing superfluous, nothing off message. Only nitpick from the prior one is the numbers were still white on gray.
Gotcha. But that's what's on the Microsoft website.
So let's do some numbers here.
I can Photoshop it next time.
As a Microsoft employee, actually technically as a Microsoft executive,
What is the ask here?
You might run some stats, which is we have 120 odd thousand employees. And yes, some of them do bad things on the internet too, including horrible contrast, bad. We're responsible for wingdings. Like, don't look at us.
I will submit feedback.
Defensive about the colors, Mark. I think there's more to talk about there.
But thank you.
All the good things Mark said, I completely agree with. I had two minor nitpicks. Your hand motions are still kind of small, and it's unnatural to do big hand motions. But in a big room, if you want to use your hands, you have to go big to get it across. It's a weird thing, and you have to practice. My other question for you is, I didn't know. I know a little bit about cognitive services, but what exactly does 0.6 fear mean? And I would have liked a brief explanation of that. Like, 0.6 means this person looks scared, not scared, etc. But great job. I thought you had a really nice tie back to the business story and nice timing.
All right. Thank you for doing that again. That was really fun. I felt like your jokes were funny to me even the second time, and actually a little funnier, which is not that easy to do when you've heard a joke before. It was really well done. I liked that you added a better intro on at the beginning, which we had suggested. Your pacing was really better at the beginning. I asked for more pauses, and you gave those. You did speed up a little at the end, and that's really one of those things that the more you speak, the more you'll kind of learn, okay, I can skip a thing I was going to say so that I can still kind of keep the pace. But it wasn't a bad pace. It was still a pretty good pace. It was just really excellent pace at the beginning. Really well done. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You also noticed the pacing was much better all the way through. So I remember the first time around, you were very quick on the first slide or two, and then you settled in. I also liked the better intro, but the one thing that I really liked was you set the expectation up front. You know, this is a level 100 session. Because the one thing about a lot of talks is some people don't do that, and then midway through they'll see either people walk out or whatever because the expectation wasn't set. So I thought that was excellent. I'd also agree that, you know, with the hands again in the room, just I know it's hard. It really is. But you just have to sort of be conscious. But I also noticed, for example, when he's on the one slide, we were talking about images, you kind of did this just unconsciously, like for image. No, that was cool. But I mean, like, in an audience, like, that would go over probably pretty well if people were able to see that. But you kind of did it right here. Like, I did direct line of sight, so I could see it. But again, great job. You incorporated our feedback very well.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much. So our next presenter is going to be Leslie Andrews. While we do a quick laptop swap here. So Leslie's got a Bachelor's of Business Intelligence and MIS from the University of New Mexico. She works for the city of Albuquerque as a database architect. She's got 20 years experience in software development and project management. She's a certified Scrum Master, and she's worked in healthcare, the judiciary, and electrical supply. So thank you very much for coming. You ready?
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me for a perfect time the data model. Today we are going to compare a third normal form model and a star schema and learn when you would use one over the other and what characteristics make up the perfect data model. My goal is for you to leave here today with the ability to look at the databases you work with and determine if the person who designed them had a clue. So we all know when it comes to the models, a perfect 10 is the pinnacle. We've got the great hair and the curves and the smile. And if we're lucky, someday we might get to work with a supermodel like Flynn the Bichon Frise, winner of the 2018 Westminster Best in Dog Show. Unfortunately, most of us end up working with a model that looks more like Jaja, winner of the 2018 World's Ugliest Dog Contest, with really a face that only a mother could love. So depending on the job, you'll need a different type of model. You'll need a third normal form model for working with transactional systems, like a point of sale, accounting, billing, anything that does the operations or the work of a business. Systems where you need to do a lot of CRUD, and the interface needs to be fast for the users. If you're going to be building a reporting or an analysis system, you'll need to use a star schema. Its purpose is to report on the measurements of a business. It's what allows you to do the slicing and dicing and has fast drill downs to the details that provide the totals. So now that we know when you would use each type of model, how do we know what a perfect model looks like? When people say third normal form, what does that mean? Well, it means that the data has been reviewed and restructured so that minimizes duplication to meet the rules of each state of normalization. And getting to third normal form is the goal. Here is a perfect 10 model for a basic questionnaire system. Each table has its own primary key. The model uses foreign keys to identify related data. With this model, you can add unlimited questionnaires, questions, and answers without any modifications to the database structure. There's no duplicated data. All the attributes in each table are all about the key, so help me God. Pretty straightforward, it's not too complicated, and scalable. Unlike the Jaja questionnaire database, this is a reverse engineered diagram of a production database that is used to track incidents that happen in a nursing home. These two super long tables make up a single questionnaire. There are so many fields in the table that it couldn't fit into a single one, so they're named facility events and facility events 2. Anytime you need to have a second table to hold the data, you probably have a Jaja database. In this section of the model, there are 11 different tables for 11 different child questionnaires. Each questionnaire is its own table. If you want to create a new questionnaire, you have to create a new table. If you want to add a question to an existing questionnaire, you have to have a database modification because it's not normalized and it's not scalable. Here's an example of what I like to call committing spreadsheet. Anytime you have the same field names with numbers after them, you're not to third normal form yet. Now let's talk about the star schema. This is where you capture the measurements that you want to present to your users as aggregates and counts, surrounded by the dimensions that hold all of the attributes about that data, the things that you're interested in slicing and dicing by. So here's a perfect 10 star schema. It has a sales fact table that contains our business measurement. It's surrounded by the dimension tables that have all of the attributes that we're interested in. We've denormalized and flattened out the tables so that we can see all the descriptions are in the same table. You wouldn't find that in the third normal form. You'd probably have to go through at least 3 joins to get to the subcategory description from an order. In the star schema, you only have to make a single join to get to any information that you're interested in slicing and dicing by. Now, I know you're wondering, is there a Jaja of star schemas? Not really. What ends up happening is people use a third normal form, and then it is slow to do the aggregates that a star schema is designed to optimize. So while Jaja and Flynn are both perfect in their own way, when it comes to data models, it really does matter which one you use. If you're going to do a transactional system, use third normal form. If you're going to be creating an analysis system, use a star schema. Thanks for coming by today, and remember when you get back to work, take a look at the databases you work with and see if those people had a clue. Thank you.
Very good, very good. Judges?
All right. It's clear you incorporated some of our feedback. I know you did one of mine specifically, which was, pointing like when you did the foreign keys. So thank you for doing that. It really stuff like that makes all the difference in the world. You seemed a little bit more nervous today than you did the other day.
Yes, I was.
No, it's okay.
The room is a little more
It's
full.
a little more intimidating today.
No, it's not about. Just
Yeah.
take a breath.
I did, and then not having my thing plugged in, having to do that real fast, that kind of threw me
Trust me,
through a
we've
loop.
all been there.
Yeah.
So but you seem to settle in about halfway through. Like you just kind of
Yes.
chilled out, and it's like, okay, I'm here. I also noticed you gave some better explanations around certain things, and so certain things were a bit tighter. So thank you for that. But overall, another great job. You just seemed like incorporated some of our feedback and just synthesized it.
Thanks for talking.
Thank
I
you.
remain a fan of Jaja, the dog, but not necessarily the database. One pattern that you fell into, and happens to me more when I have nerves too, but it's just something to be conscious of. You fell into a pattern where you were breathing when you changed slides.
Yes.
And it's very easy to fall into that pattern, but for the audience, it's almost like a little bit of a jolt.
Yeah.
It's really just practice and learning to hit that button either before you've quite finished a thought or as you start the next thought. So it's really, that's, in terms of like a concrete thing to build on, that's one I would work on for you because it'll help the flow really go through.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for speaking again. I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
I actually suggested to Denny this morning on Twitter that we have live biometric data from the Speaker Idol contestants. This came up because I spoke with a co-presenter who was her first time speaking at a big conference on Tuesday, and she was super nervous. And I happened to take my pulse before my session this morning, and it was 58. Anyway, not about me. Good job. That was really good. The only thing, like Alan and Kendra said, we could tell you were a little bit nervous. And the thing you were doing was rocking a little bit. And so you can be nervous and hide that. You just have to work on like your platform stability. It's a little weird, but there's a lot of physical things around public speaking that are weird. Just like we were talking about with hand gestures being super weird to do like that. You were fine with that. My only other super nitpicky thing, and it's fine, is the way you named your star schema tables. I'd much rather see dim blah 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 and fact blah 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 than blah 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 fact and blah 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 dim. So they sort. And I meant to tell you that the other day, and I forgot. I'm not dinging her because it was a perfectly valid diagram. I'm just complaining about it. Great job. It's not like Alan and Always On. It's not that big of a deal.
Thank you to all of the speakers for subjecting yourselves to our idiosyncrasies. Great job on really tightening the message. Very consistent flow. Really great job on adding more context and framing the story. Really like the data models and the kind of the screenshot walk along. It made it really easy to both follow along the slide and listen. And and us commenting on the nervous thing was not a judging. It was just an observation to just relax.
Yes.
And don't have the click. Oh, we got through that slide.
It worked. Oh my God, it worked. I made it.
A great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next presenter is Rob Volk. Rob's a Microsoft Certified Solutions Administrator or Associate and a Microsoft Certified IT Professional. He's been working as a SQL Server DBA since SQL Server 6.5. He's even worked with some older databases as well. He's one of the organizers for SQL Saturday Atlanta. He's a semi-regular blogger on SQLteam.com, and he likes to do absolutely deranged things to SQL Server so the rest of us do not have to. Absolutely, absolutely.
Am I on? Great, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you for attending Speaker Idol, Past Summit 2018. For those of you who were here before, thanks for attending again. I do have a quick survey I'd like to take. How many in the room are database administrators, DBAs? I'm going to rough count that at about 70 to 80. And how many of you have had, like, say, 5 or fewer years of experience as DBA juniors? About 10 over here, 11, 12, so about 13 of you. So you would probably fall under the umbrella of a junior DBA. You're still fairly new to it. You may not be known under some of the alternative descriptions of the DBA acronym. You've probably heard some of these or run into people that fit these descriptions. I'm here to tell you that they are all absolutely true. They're all accurate. If you are fortunate enough to continue your career as a database administrator, you will become one or more of these descriptions. You don't have to fear this. It's a badge of honor. It means that you know what you're doing. You're competent as a database administrator. We've all started off. We didn't know anything about SQL Server. That's one of the nice benefits of PASS. 20 summits of PASS, you get to meet your heroes and find out that they had the same job as you when they were junior DBAs. So I'm going to go into a couple of the things I've experienced as a junior DBA, and hopefully you can relate to some of them and possibly even sing along if you know the words. Sound over there? Okay, great. I am the very model of a SQL Server DBA. I store my databases on a level 0 RAID array consisting of some SSDs. I got to sponsor giveaways at user groups and seminars and several SQL Saturdays. I've indexed every column in my SharePoint content database. I'm undisputed master of the maintenance plan interface. I prefix store procedures with the standard SP underscore. I keep H life expectancy at 5 and not a minute more.
He keeps his life expectancy at 5 and not a minute more. He keeps his life expectancy at 5 and not a minute more. He keeps his life expectancy at 5 and not a minute more.
A sand snapshot is really all the backup you would ever need. I back up to disk equals null in order to gain extra speed. I slavishly apply all the advice I get from DTA. I am the very model of a SQL Server DBA.
He's actually allowed all the advice he gets from DTA. He is the very model of a SQL Server DBA.
Developers will think that I'm a Luddite and a bit cuckoo. There's nothing wrong with UDFs embedded in a nested view containing joins from table 1 all down through table 32. Their query plans are mated with Cthulhu and Medusa. Ew. I came in second place for Agate's DBA Exceptional. You'd think they'd listen to me, but instead they tell me go to hell. My junior DBAs will think I've got a screw loose in my head. For every database they shrink, Paul Randall kills a kitten dead.
For every database they shrink, Paul Randall kills a kitten dead. For every database they shrink, Paul Randall kills a kitten dead. For every database they shrink, Paul Randall kills a kitten dead.
There's no constraints, no indexes, no sense of data purity, and everyone's a sysadmin. There's nothing like security. I can't convince these idiots they should no longer use this. I am the very model of a SQL Server DBA.
He can't convince these idiots they should no longer use this, and he is the very model of a SQL Server DBA.
My client's tables first normal form and elegance, and serve for both OLTP and all business intelligence. They manage this astounding feat, though not particularly well, by storing JSON data in a column typed as XML. Why do they think that suddenly I'd be all nice and motherly? They hate it when they can't set empty beautiful recovery. Their use of cursors will make you suspect their genealogy. The no-lock hint encompasses their tuning methodology.
The no-lock hint encompasses their tuning methodology. The no-lock hint encompasses their tuning methodology. The no-lock hint encompasses their tuning methodology.
Some folks I talk to every day should get hit with a baseball bat. Instead, I charge them twice as much while wearing my consultant's hat. My antiquated tendencies will cause my clients great dismay. I am the very model of a SQL Server
His
DBA.
antiquated tendencies will cause his clients great dismay. He is the very model of a SQL Server DBA.
Thank you all for attending. Really appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed it.
Judges. If I hit the wrong, hang on, I gotta hit the right button so I can get my ridiculous image on the screen. There we go.
So doing that twice in one day and only catching your flow once is pretty amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't notice the double no lock last time. I saw it this time.
Oh, yeah. That was my favorite thing.
It's twice as fast.
Yeah. And Jonathan getting fired was even better the second time. Please think of Jonathan.
Okay. Did you miss the transaction isolation level at the top, too? It's really 3.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, I may need to see it a third time.
It's a new technique.
Your
Yeah.
code samples were
Yeah.
freaking amazing.
All right.
Like,
All right. Thank you.
Because you made sure the no locks were going against the financial table, and,
Oh, yeah.
and the cursors were going against the largest table in AdventureWorks.
Yeah.
With Select
Yeah.
Star.
So as a music guy, I actually appreciate that I could actually hear the music this time. And actually, you know, the thing I picked on again as a musician, kind of like when you got to the middle part, the dynamics actually made it really work, like the loud and the soft.
Okay.
So again, as a musician, I appreciated that. But again, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. So, our next contestant we have up here is Mr. Dennis Torres. I know I saw him earlier. There he is. Oh, you don't?
No, you're
Oh.
extended instead of duplicated.
Oh, yeah, no. All I've got here is the same thing on the screen. So Dennis is a senior software developer. He's a specializes in .NET and C#. Started working with them back when they were first created. He's a Brazilian living in Malta. He's the leader of the Malta Data Platform User Group, and he's got 20 years of experience working with various versions of SQL Server, starting back in Server 6.5.
Welcome, and thank you for attending this 300-level session. Don't cry over spilled memory. Let me tell a story. A few days ago, a friend called me. Hey, bro, I'm in trouble. Could you help me? Oh, yes. As long as it's not to fix your printer again, sure. Do you remember that SQL Server migration, my data warehouse environment that we talked about? My boss is requesting an ROI report. I need to explain to him what benefit we got from the money we spent on the migration. How can I do this? Oh, that's easy. SQL Server 2017 has many new features that will give your environment an immediate improvement as long as you change the compatibility level from 2016 to 2017 on each of your database. One of these new features is the memory grant feedback. This is a great feature to help us against the spills. Let's remember a bit about the spills. When a query first arrives on the server, the query is compiled, the plan is stored and executed. All the following executions will reuse the plan on the cache. The amount of memory this query needs is defined during the compilation. All the following executions will use a fixed amount of memory defined on the plan. Then, our well-known query monsters arrive. Parameter sniffing, bad statistics, lots of inserts and updates. All these monsters will change the amount of memory our query needs. What will happen to our query plan? Here you see the query plan, using 87 and 200 kilobytes of memory and with a spill. This means SQL Server is using TempDB to process this execution because the amount of memory configured in the plan was not enough. This query will be way slower than a regular execution. We can use memory grant feedback to fix this problem. This feature will identify the spill and fix the amount of memory in the query plan inside the plan cache. All the following executions will not have the spill anymore, and the memory will be fixed. Let's see a demonstration. First, I'll change the compatibility level to 2017, create an extended event session. I believe you already know about extended events. Start the extended event session and clear the cache. Now I will execute a query with a sort spill problem. Our extended event session is capturing the event memory grant updated by feedback. We are capturing all the queries fixed by this new feature. So you'll be able to create an ROI report to your boss showing all the queries improved by the migration. Let's check the execution plan. It has a spill. It's using TempDB to process this execution. But our query is able to use memory grant feedback. Let's execute it again. And while the query executes, let's check our extended event session. You already captured the memory grant updated by feedback event. We can use this information to show to your boss all the queries improved by the migration. And the final execution plan doesn't have the spill anymore. I could see my friend's impressed face about this. A few days later, he called me saying his boss gave him a raise, so he would never again need to call me to fix his printer. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Alan?
Yeah, great. So great job of incorporating, two of the things that I mentioned you incorporated directly, highlighting the differences in sections as you talked over the code, and just quickly mentioning about the compatibility level per database. Live demo is hard, and I thought it was good. While the query was executing, you were talking through a couple other things. So, I don't remember if the other day, you'd already sort of pre-run it and it was there, but I thought that was kind of brave to, let it run. But you filled the time excellently. So I thought it was a little bit tighter today. You seemed a little more relaxed. So good job.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking again. I really enjoyed it again. I had given you feedback about being more conscious of shifting weight back and forth between your feet and more controlled movements. And you did better, and it felt more smooth to me. It's a pattern you still fell back into a little bit, like when at the podium. And when we speak, sometimes when we build up experience, we just get used to doing things and we don't even realize that we're doing them. So if I was you, and I got this feedback, the thing I would actually do would be, I would try to give some run-throughs just standing completely still, which is not a great way to present, but just trying to kind of be more conscious of when you're doing that, because it does convey a nervousness. That's really the problem with it, is when you kind of go like this, it makes the audience feel a little nervous for you. This is definitely a fine-tuning item, not like a big issue. This is like, oh, you're doing really well, and this is kind of like next level stuff. But that was my observation there. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, when I had public speaking training in grad school, that was something they kind of emphasized, and kind of that you should be standing still, and all your movement should be very deliberate. And so there's some tricks, like with how you position your hips over your feet, that will help you be more stable even when you're nervous. But I thought that was a great job. The only one like little bit of feedback I'd give you was, I think when you show the extended events, instead of showing the XML, maybe showing the live data might be a little cleaner, so that people can see it. The XML was fine because I could see the event happening, and I don't know how it looks like for that event. So you could be right on that, but maybe the watch live data might be a little bit easier to see. But a great job.
Yeah, we kind of run out of things to say when you guys do such a better job. No, really great job of just really tightening up the story. Nothing superfluous. The flow was pretty close to perfect in terms of just coming along, stitching everything together in the context of the story, and throwing in a completely live demo. And as Alan said, talking through the dead space really nicely.
Thank you.
So our last presenter is Paresh Matwala. Was it close? Close. Close. I'll take close. So Paresh works as a DBA and BI manager in Boston, Massachusetts. He leads the past DBA virtual chapter and Northeast SQL user groups. He also runs the Boston BI user group, and he runs the past virtual chapter for professional development. He organizes and speaks at and volunteers at various SQL Saturday and Azure events all around the US, as well as working with kids for, he mentors kids in the local area and all around the world.
So my name is Paresh Motiwala, and if this comes up, that would be awesome. Cool. So today we want to cover how do you get an interview and how do you nail it. It's a level 100 course for people who have done it too often, and level 700 course for those who are not very successful or don't get it too often. So feel free to take whatever level you want to get out of it, but there's some of these standard mistakes that we make in our lives while doing this. So what we'll do is we'll see how do you get an interview, how do you prepare for an interview, what do you do during the interview? Oh my gosh, don't yawn, right? And what do you do after the interview? So 4 stages, and in the end, we'll have an Oprah moment for you guys too. So Okay, let's start. So how do you get an interview? Guys, number one, keep looking all the time. Update your resumes regularly. I cannot tell you this enough number of times. Network, network, and network. How many of you are sitting next to somebody you already know today? Come on, cough it up. Yeah, see? Classic network 101 failure, right? So you don't want to do that. Start volunteering for your children's football team or your church or your place of worship. You never know, the person sitting next to you could be the CIO of the next job you're working at, right? Or you could be working at. Polish up your social media. Make sure that you have announced all your skills, all your strengths in the right place. Remove all the stupid pictures that you posted of those wild parties after pass that you did. Definitely, I would say let them pass, right? And start speaking at events like these. Blog. If you're not blogging, seriously, start with a microblog. What is a microblog? Twitter, right? It's the easiest thing to do. 280 characters or less, right? Give out your thoughts, share your educational content. KYFS, right, for preparing for your interviews. What does KYFS stand for? Know your frickin' subject, right? Definitely you want to do that. And also, while you're knowing your subject, make sure you know your resume and the job description. Because if you don't do that, you will stumble during the interview, right? And the interviewer will appear like Jaja. And you don't want him to be like that. You want him to be your best friend. Research the interviewer. It will help you lower the bar. And you can break the ice with them much more easily than you can ever imagine. Research the company, go to their website, see how many awards they got, and research the industry, okay? That's where you want to be. Hey, Paresh, which industry do you look for? I look for healthcare. This is awesome, right? Cool. So during the interviews, make sure, diet is something you want to take care of, my friends. Definitely make sure you don't eat anything that is extremely strong in smell. One day prior and then on the day of the interview, I'll tell you, the body odor is bad, the mouth smells even worse, so definitely get rid of that. Dress code, as you can see, 2 of those samples that I've given them, don't try to wear your national costumes. I love your national costumes, I love your ethnicity, but don't do that in the interview. Arrive early, observe the company, right, and relax and go into the interview. Exchange pleasantries. Don't go away straight away saying, okay, yeah, this is level 600 interview. And posture, don't slouch, sorry. Let's do one thing. After you do this, what do you do after the interview? Maintain records. I have a sample of the spreadsheet that I used to use, right? Who did you interview with, what did you do? And keep on following up. If you get a job, great. If you don't get a job, do write why I didn't get a job, I'm sorry, but I can, or something like that. Just follow up, keeping your gate open there sometimes to go back. So in conclusion, we spoke about how do you get an interview, right? How do you prepare for an interview? What do you do during the interview? And what do you do after an interview? And at the end of it, you get a job, and you get a job. So thank you very much for spending the last of the session with us. And honored to speak here in front of everyone. Thank you.
Great job tightening up the presentation. The story was very smooth, flowed very cleanly, and a really great job of very small pauses between the talking points to let them sink in. So it was very small but very smooth. Point, stop, let it sink in, point, stop, without really breaking the flow. So great job on that, and great job on cleaning up some of the slides and including a copy, like a snapshot of that spreadsheet.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, I agree. I thought, the big problem we had last time was your timing, and this time you finished at like 15 seconds to go, so you were really perfect and spot on with timing. And like Mark mentioned, the pausing is really good. That's a really effective way to get your messaging across, because it allows the audience some time to digest it, and I think that's a pretty valuable thing in most speaking.
Thank you for speaking again, and thanks for adapting the talk. I really liked the big ending this time. Last time the ending felt a bit rushed. We were kind of at your contact info, and the Oprah moment, which you primed us for at the beginning, came at the end, and that it let us know, hey, this is the end. We're having the Oprah moment, but also your volume and your intonation really landed it, and it was a good celebratory moment. There was a little sigh you gave somewhere in the middle where it felt a little bit like, I'm a little tired here. I wasn't sure if it was in the context or of something. That was the one little bobble that I noticed.
Okay.
Great job. Thanks so much. You guys are making our jobs hard here.
Again, I would agree. You tighten stuff up a lot. When you had that sort of stumble at the beginning with the PowerPoint and stuff like that, we've seen in Speaker Auto where that can just affect the rest of it. You just kind of talked right through it, and you got right on with it, and you just acted like it was no big deal. Not everybody, and even we've experienced those times where it just doesn't work. So good job with that. I do like some of the call response stuff you did. The only thing not that I would disagree with, you sort of made it a light joke, but the thing about kind of not wearing your national costume or it basically not being who you are, I think that's a really tough thing to say to people just as a general thing, because if somebody, regardless of religion or whatever, that's who they are, if somebody isn't going to want to hire them because that's how they dress or something, maybe that's not the job for them. So maybe that's just my own personal bias. So, because that could either turn people on or turn people off as advice. Mm-hmm. So maybe just, kind of say, maybe turn around and say, maybe in the gathering information about the company is like, what's expected, like what's the company dress code, and then for the interview, dress appropriately. That way it's, because some people could take it the wrong way, you know what I'm saying?
I get that, yeah.
But other than that, again, you tightened everything up. It was a great presentation. Loved your pacing. Again, as Kendra said, our job's going to be hard this year. So thank you.
Cool. Thank you, folks, everyone.
Thank you. All right, judges, time for you to work for a living. I know it's unusual, but go do something. So having done this for a few years now, one thing I have seen over the years is this competition gets better and better every year. He's going to want his microphone back. I'm very glad I get to stand up here and talk and not sit down there and have to actually work, because those guys have to work really, really hard, especially this year, to decide who is going to be a winner. So one thing, if you were here earlier today and you have an HP laptop and you're missing a power cable, it's probably this one, because that's not an HP. So see me, or if you don't see me, see the nice gentleman over here, and he will be more than happy to give you your power cable back if you happen to be in the room. If you're not in the room, you can't hear me anyway, so you don't care. But I'll drop it off at HQ if nobody claims it. So one thing I did want to say, as far as I can remember, this is the most diverse year we've ever had, and the most diverse speaker idol we've ever had. We had more folks that are basically not old white guys presenting and submitting, and I think that's absolutely awesome, because that's just going to do better and better for this entire conference and this entire community, because nobody wants to see people like me talk every time we have one of these sessions. I thought the judges were coming in, and I was so happy. On top of that, this is, I think, the year we've had the most MVPs from Microsoft MVPs submit to this session as well. So that as well is absolutely awesome, and that just helps bring the caliber of speaker up that much more and make the presentations that they give to everyone here that much more awesome. So I think that's really cool personally. So since I assumed they were going to be outside for a few minutes, I threw a couple of quick session questions on a slide. I cannot talk today. So I'm going to turn this back over to you guys, and that's, why did you guys come to Speaker Idol? This is obviously a much bigger group than we've had in some of the other sessions. So what were some of the reasons that you came down to Speaker Idol back here in the bowels of the TCC to come see the session? To support a friend that's speaking. Awesome. Thank you. Because I'm your boss. I don't require that they come. It's just really convenient, and I think this is a funny session. Brain couldn't handle another technical session. I think Bob Ward is actually talking right now, isn't he? And no, is he done? Oh, he's last session? Okay, yeah, I can understand that my brain is full because, yeah, I've been to sessions here, and yeah, brain gets full fast. Sick of being chained to your booth, and you got released by your boss to come see, the rest of the world. Okay. Okay, to hear some comments and critiques from judges, awesome. Yeah.
We have all the 5 speakers on the stage. I would like to have a picture with them.
Yeah, come on up. So I was going to do that when the judges came back, but apparently we may have time because you guys were all awesome. So if we could have all 5 up.
Everyone else wants to say, hey, we want to see blood.
You want to see blood? So we were thinking maybe for the 13th year of Speaker Idol, we would have a showdown of all the winners. 12 speakers enter, 1 speaker leaves. The only downside to that would be there'd be 11 dead speakers for the next year, and that'd be kind of a problem. So here are your 5 finalists. Squeeze closer, pretend you like each other.
Thank you. May the best singer win.
If I know
So-
what you're supposed to sing, I wouldn't sing.
So how many people in the room are speakers at some sort today? Where are we at? Okay, so maybe half, a little bit more than the room, and this is a pretty full room, are currently speakers today. So what are some of the feedback that we heard today that we might be able to take back and make our own sessions better? Some of the feedback you heard from our judges. I think I do that too, and that if you couldn't hear Ree, her comment was taking a breath between slides.
It's one of those things that if you're conscious of, you're never going to do it. Once you're conscious and aware of it, unless you're like super nervous, you won't do that thing. It's just like the rocking thing. Once you're aware of it, I didn't want to say this to any candidate, but the trick is that I learned in business school is you stand with your legs together like this, and even though I'm like a little nervous talking to all of you, I'm not really rocking. I'm not moving back and forth. I'm just kind of in place. And Sims could totally push me over. All right, on to the important
before we
stuff.
get that, let's get all 5 of the contestants back up here on stage so we can see all their shiny faces again. And then we're going to watch 4. You'd be very disappointed. You have to actually wait for the 5th one to come up. There's 5 this time. All right, Joey.
I just want to congratulate everyone, and really everyone in the room who spoke in Speaker Idol. We say this every year, but the quality this year was incredibly high, hence why we had 5 people in the final. It was a fantastic job by everyone, and I will introduce our first runner-up, Dennis Torres. And the winner with one of the most elegant, technical, and delivered presentations I've seen anywhere ever was Rob Volk. Congratulations.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
All right. So thank you all very much for coming. Don't forget to see everything else Pass has to offer, virtual chapters, SQL Server user groups, all that other good stuff. See you next year at Pass Summit 2019. Thank you, man.